So that was like, it ended up still being kind of dark. So, because I'm naturally a sad girl. So no, but even if I'm giggling, it's like,
Welcome to the Pillars of Creation. I'm your host, Mitchel Dane, and this week's guest is singer, songwriter, and electronic music producer, Robyn Marie. Known for her bold style in and out of the studio, she always knows which buttons to press. And just like her music, Robyn is layered and complex and always evolving. So when her music started in the church, she soon found herself ostracized as a result of her struggle with the Christian faith. And although she wears her heart on her sleeve, she chooses to keep her music in the studio and online, preferring instead to focus on perfecting her craft with each new release. So if you want to see her perform, you'll need to put on your dancing shoes and go see her party cover band Stiletto. But whatever your mood, Robyn Marie can mix and match to suit any occasion. Robyn Marie, as I live and breathe.
oh my God, Mitchell.
Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Look, we're doing it.
We're here, yes. Thanks for coming on.
Look at us. Just a couple of old pals just making it happen.
So I see that you're in your home studio there.
I am.
That's recently set up too, hey?
Yes. I moved here last year, so.
Mm-hmm. Have you done any recording since you moved in?
Yes. I've released my last song that I wrote in here, and then I'm working on another one right now. So yeah, I've worked on a couple things.
Now, would you consider yourself a studio musician?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, like it's not that you don't play live, but you are crafting new music and releasing it online, but you're not really playing shows as Robyn Marie.
No.
So you're more of like a digital artist in a way, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say it's mostly just studio creation for me at the moment.
Now, is that a result of frustration with the stage, like the limitations of the stage, or would you say that's more just the preference for the freedom of the studio environment?
My God, what a question. You're so good at this.
I got more of them.
What?
Yeah, just be ready.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit twofold. One is, yes, the limitations of the stage for the type of music I do. The type of music that I like to create and perform is very like bass heavy, loud. So the only gigs that I would easily be able to put on myself at this point would be smaller venue shows. And I just don't really, I did it, I tried it out, and it wasn't that fun. I'd have to really invest in like a huge thing, and I just don't want to. Yeah. And then the other part of it is, I don't know, I enjoy performing with my cover band.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to perform my stuff. I don't know.
You kind of get it out of your system with Stiletto, right? Because Stiletto is the cover band that you play with.
Yeah, we do it top 40 to classics, mostly weddings, corporate events, stuff like that. And so I'm the lead singer and lead synth player for that. And yeah, I it's really fun to be able to play in different types of venues with them. And I don't know. I guess there's something really vulnerable about performing my own stuff live that I don't know if I'm mentally like wanting to put in the energy to do. So that could be part of it too.
Would there ever be a possibility that Stiletto would play one of your songs?
Oh, for sure. Like, but my band is comprised of like my friends, and so we just like to hang out. Like, we honestly, Stiletto is a way for us to hang out together. So
make a little money, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm sure if I asked them like, hey, like I want to do a Robyn Marie show, could I just like use you guys? I'm sure they would totally do it.
Yeah. I mean, because I can understand where you're coming from with the idea of how difficult it is to recreate some of that high electronic style on the stage. But I do think that your songwriting is compelling enough from a band perspective. Like, I can see a band performing it behind you, and I would personally love to see it.
That's a great compliment, because that's one of the things I would be nervous about, is like, do the songs stand on their own 2 feet?
Like without all the production and
production and stuff like that. Because when I'm writing music, at least the way that I like to write music, it's a lot of like almost starting with the production. Like, I start with like the ideas of like how I kind of picture it sounding, and then I could like write a song around that. So my worry would be, is this song in its structure something that I could actually take to a stage?
So that's a very interesting place to start a song. I mean, at least in the sense of building layers, or at least the expectation is that there will be lots of layers. So
Yeah.
when you write a song, is it not just bare bones chords on the piano with a melody, and then you go in and build it out?
Yeah, so that's how I used to
Mm,
do it. That's like my first EP was more of a singer-songwriter-y style, and
and then
then
that's Hide, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my debut EP was Hide, and I did write those songs on the piano or guitar, and then I recorded them after and then added texture and layers on top of that.
Right.
Um but it was a different style of writing than I preferred because
Mm,
when I can create the bass line, which is what I do now, I start with like a drum beat or a bass
mm,
line,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll start with like instrumentation, and I'll usually end with vocals, and
Right.
usually end because I can just like sit with the song and
Craft the
sing to
melody on top
it.
of what you've
Yeah,
just
and
yeah, okay.
yeah, as opposed to trying to fit a pre-existing melody or song into and try to figure out how to rhythmically make it work. I'm able to
Mm,
control more of like the essence of the song before I get into the lyrics and the vocals, which
right.
I prefer.
Sure,
So,
sure. Well, I mean, I
yeah.
can see it being a fun challenge, right? I mean, I remember even just trying that myself, where I would say I always start with my guitar chords, and then I build a melody. So what do I? Yeah, start with a drum beat, or start with
Yeah.
find a cool synth patch and try to build something from just even like a tonality,
And it
which is
really
kind of
does,
cool.
yeah, challenge you because, like, yeah, if I started every song I wrote on the piano, I think they would all have a very similar
Mm,
style.
sure.
And I really like that when I can start writing with whatever it is that I put down on whatever take I do, whether it's on a drum loop or whether
Hmm.
it's a bass line or a synth line, I'm kind of now challenged to write around that thing I created,
Mm, hmm.
which might be completely different than something else I created. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's good a good way of making my stuff. I feel like my songs are all quite different, or
Yeah.
at least I hope they are.
Hmm.
So that's kind
Sure.
of my goal, right? Is I want each song to be like quite different from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've also shifted from albums to singles, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
and even that in and of itself helps separate the whether it be the tonality or it'll be the theme or whatever. And so when every time you release a single, it might even be separated by quite a lot of time from the writing period of the previous one.
Guilty.
Yes, yeah. Would you say that that's a result of wanting each song to breathe a little bit more when you release it?
Um a big part of it is time. I work a full-time job
Mm,
and I put a lot of energy into that. So and life has its way of being messy. So you sometimes, I don't know, I've had a lot of different changes in my life lately. So there's
mm-hmm.
been a lot of tumultuous reasons why I can't just sit down and spend hours and hours on a song,
Right.
and release more content that way.
Mm-hmm.
But a part of it is, yeah, letting it breathe. I like to start with an idea and then really sit on it, play around with it, sing around it, and then it just is a matter of finding time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in an ideal world, yeah, I would have, the whole day to really just like make music, and that would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of limited with, a 9 to 5 work schedule. So
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
that definitely gets in the way if you're in the zone and then I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm waking up early tomorrow or whatever it might be, right?
Well, yeah, and there's so many things that I care about in my life, like not just music. Like I want to stay
Mhm.
active, and I go to the gym, and I want to eat healthy, and I want to live like a life with a routine that's sustainable. So I don't, you
Mhm.
know, like if I didn't care about doing the dishes or my laundry or like any of that stuff, sure, I could spend all waking hours not at work here
Mhm.
in the studio. But there's just other things that I like to do with my time as well. So
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of a reality for a lot of musicians nowadays,
I
right?
think so, and I think
Mhm.
that people don't say it. I think people are
Mhm.
feel like I think there is a pressure to release lots of stuff, and you feel
Yeah.
like you have to come up with excuses as to why you're not making stuff or why it's been a
Sure.
while, but it's just that I just have other interests. I
Mhm.
This is definitely one of them. This is probably a top interest of mine, but it's not my everything,
Right. It's only one part of your life.
Yeah,
I mean, it is interesting. Kind of touched on that you are a digital artist in the
I think
sense that
so.
your music is not really performed live all that often. It's mostly
No, and even the instrumentation with the exception of maybe a guitar or keyboard and my voice, like everything is digitally
Right.
made.
Like
So
MIDI programmed things.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything is
So
plugins and
with that in mind, I mean, you mentioned content and releasing content. In a way, it is better to release the single so that you can, opposed to the 12 songs in one drop, because now you have something to keep your audience engaged, right? I mean,
exactly.
it's not enough to just have a great album anymore.
Well,
You have to keep prodding and poking your audience to be like, don't forget,
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
forget about me.
Yeah, I mean, my first album, I had quite a few songs that I was sitting on that I could
Mm,
just lay down, and then
yeah,
I did them, right? And that
totally.
was a way so that's why I did my first release was an EP, at least my first release as Robyn Marie.
Right.
And then from there, I think my life was just a little bit more stable, so I was able to write more,
Hmm.
and so I did another EP.
Right.
But after that, just there were so many things going on. I really had a lot of fun, just like releasing single
Hmm.
after single without having to find a common theme or idea
Right.
that I wanted
Hmm.
to release it, you know?
Would you say that because you don't have the same outward outreach, I should say, as other artists who are playing every other weekend or going on tours, would you say that digital content release, like social media, just becomes more important
It
because of that?
does.
Yeah.
I think so.
Hmm.
And really like what I should be doing more of and what I do want to do more of is just perform more on Instagram.
Right.
Like that would be a
Like
way for
like
me
actually
to
perform.
yeah, like
Hmm.
either just like singing and playing a song live, a cover, whatever it is, and then
Hmm.
either streaming that or just recording it and publishing it.
Yeah.
I
Would
just
you
as
ever
opposed
do
to
that on
just doing
like a live streaming platform like Twitch or something like that? I know that there are some artists that do that where they're just playing and just engaging with their
yeah,
audience that way.
maybe.
Hmm.
I never really thought about it.
Hmm.
I guess the sky is the limit, Mitchell.
Right. Sure. Sure. You have a lot of options available to you. I
You
mean,
can't put baby in a corner.
hmm,
I'll do it. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Just tell me what to do. I'll do it.
yeah. I mean, I think you should go play some shows, but I mean,
Oh,
that's just me
don't I
because
don't want to do
I want to
that.
see it, but it's
I don't want to do that though.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'm being a total hypocrite, but it's just from my perspective. Like if I like the songs, I want to see them perform live. So whether it's live to Instagram or live in a
Yeah.
cafe, I'll if I can only have the live on Instagram, I will take it.
Well,
Right.
yeah, and let's be real, like, it is vulnerable, so if you're
Mm.
not I don't know, I think there are some people that are just built for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't know if I would enjoy the process of constantly performing.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I would enjoy
Mm.
it. I think what I find enjoyable about playing music is the creating, not
Sure.
so much
Yeah.
the playing and performing part, so,
Yeah.
I think yeah, I don't know, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I just choose my, my battle in that
Sure.
way, but
Now, is that a perfectionism thing or
oh,
like,
yes.
yeah.
Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
a perfectionist thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's I have a really hard time accepting something is finished or done.
Okay, sure.
You know, so
Mm-hmm.
that's another reason why stuff sometimes takes a while for me to
Mm-hmm.
release because I'm spending so much time and energy on it.
Yeah.
Because I love the idea that maybe that is the artist in me. I do want to make sure the thing that I create is the way I want it when I present it to the public. You know, like
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think there's certain schools of thought that would say, you just got to do it, just release it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, well, that takes away part of the fun of creating and some of the satisfaction of
Mm-hmm.
doing it is like, I want to be satisfied with it.
Do you ever record,
So,
or I should say, do you ever save previous mixes of something you're working on, go back and then go, it was way better a month ago, and I spent all this time, and I kind of touched on it in my last podcast, just the idea of over editing and over
right.
correcting.
Right.
Do you ever find that? Have you ever had that
I
opportunity to
don't do
do an A
that.
B? No. Mm.
I don't do that because I am constantly mixing and producing as I go.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, like even if I sit down because I'm like, hey, today is a vocal take day, or
Right.
I'm gonna work on this bass line, whatever it is. I'm gonna do a little bit of mixing here and there, a little bit of production and different things,
Mm-hmm.
and move on my way. I'm never going to go back to a previous version. I
Right.
will always I will always I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there'll be times where I listen and go, "Oh man, this one aspect of it sounded so much better before. I can't
Right.
believe I messed it
Mm-hmm.
up now."
Mm-hmm.
But I just go back and I change it. Like I
Right.
know I
Yeah.
usually am pretty good with
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I know what I did there that I can
Yeah.
go fix, or I know what I need to tweak."
And now you just touched on it, and the fact is that you not only write, you record, you edit, and you mix all of your music yourself.
Yes. Yeah. The only
But
thing I don't do is master.
right, yeah. So you do send it out at the final stage just to polish it
Yeah.
off.
And this is
Um,
more recent. I did have a mixing engineer like for the first two albums.
right. Okay. So I guess my question being is there value in that kind of a collaboration after the fact once it is
Oh,
recorded?
100%.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
do you find that now, if you could choose, would you choose to work with a mixing engineer or even a producer? I don't know if you've ever done
I
something
would. I
like
would
that.
love to. I mean,
Hmm.
I would love to work with a producer. I think that'd be super fun. I think I just instead of doing that, I've been I show the demos and what I'm working on to
Hmm.
so many of my friends that are
Sure.
also musicians, and I
Right.
just get feedback as I go.
Hmm.
And
Right.
honestly, I'm my own worst critic, so I usually just
Right.
I don't
Funnel it
know. I
down into some kind of a usable advice or
Yeah,
whatever.
and
Mhm.
I feel like at the mastering level is when I'm like, I do not want to have the final say in what
Mm.
the tonality of this song is.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
I
like
think
that's
that's actually really important that you do that.
yeah,
If only because I have a hard time believing that someone who's been that close to the mix can really
be impartial.
separate themselves from their mix on the mastering level, which is a
Absolutely.
higher kind of forest for the trees
Yeah.
more or less. And
Even in the songwriting level, you have
sure.
to sometimes I have
Hmm.
to really step back and take a break from it to
Hmm.
properly see what I'm doing because it's yeah, I can get way too biased in what I'm doing and then yeah, you have to
Hmm.
take some breaks every now and then from what you're working on, right? But
Yeah, fair enough. It's not easy to do everything yourself. Sometimes it is nice to have a guiding hand or just another
I am a
point of view.
control freak though,
Right.
so
Mhm. Mhm. But you know
I
that,
am.
and admitting
I
it's the first step, right?
oh, is this an intervention?
Yeah. This is a long con.
Oh,
This
yeah, no,
podcast doesn't actually exist. It's I've been asked by a few of your friends to talk to you about it.
I knew it.
Sorry. So yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's true.
They're actually
My
waiting for
friends
you
would say
outside.
that.
Come on. No.
My friends
No.
would say that.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about online versus on stage and the balance between the two because it's a shift, right? I mean, we are in the last 15, 20 years completely seeing the music industry flip and that
Yeah.
in so many ways and some of it very good, some of it very not so good.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, you go from albums being like the LP. That format is king. That is an
Sure.
event. People would get their LP and they'd throw the record on. What are you doing tonight? I'm listening to the new Pink Floyd album or whatever. And now it's shifted to singles.
Yeah.
And
Well, at
then
least for pop, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, your established groups and artists can release an
Sure, are
album,
still doing
but like,
albums. Yeah.
like bands up and coming or, I think it just seems to be like you get more bang for your buck, you release a single, and that's what we were just saying, right? You get more legs out of it because you can release 12 posts instead of the one.
Probably,
But
yeah.
beyond that, it's interesting because it's also shifted in terms of the music used to be the product, if that makes
Right.
sense. The live show used to be the advertisement for the album.
Right.
You see us live and they say, please buy our album. That's how we're going to make our living.
That's right.
And now you release the album to promote the shows,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's true.
which is like, it's such a shift.
And in some ways, like in like I think there are even some artists out there where the music is just to promote themselves as
Right.
people.
Yeah.
Like
As a
there's
commodity
influencers
or
out there who release music that, I don't know if their end goal was to make music or not. Like,
right.
but
Yeah.
it seems almost like an afterthought.
It's part of the brand,
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a branding
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a thing I struggle with too as someone who I think I'm a bit more shy than I admit.
Mm-hmm.
And so being online, it's just like, yeah, I guess I don't know what my brand is. I just don't
Sure.
know. I just release stuff as I make it
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
hope people like it. So
Yeah, yeah. We talk a little about like what it means to be a musician today and in this
yeah.
day and age, in the digital age, the value of music. the career aspirations for a lot of musicians has shifted, because it's like you
Yeah.
said, not even the artists who are bigger can solely depend on one thing. They got to be musicians. They have to be actors. They have to be writers. They
Right.
have to be so many things just to, I don't know if it's stay afloat or if it's just
I was gonna say like
diversification, right?
they print T-shirts, like it's
Yeah.
like everyone has like 9 careers in one
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So is there another thing that you do creatively or would like to do creatively?
I would love, well, there's like a few things that I would love to learn to do. I would love to get more into illustrative stuff. That sounds like really fun.
Interesting.
But that's not something I currently do.
Hmm.
Most of the creative endeavors I actually do actively are outside of music is going to be more like, I don't know, like interior design stuff
Okay.
for people.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to make things
Hmm.
pretty.
Yeah, well, I was going to touch a little on that because you obviously have a design, maybe not background, but a passion for design. And I know you've
Yeah.
done renovations in your own home. You've gone about and you've been hired out, whether it be by your mom or by a friend, to go in
Mhm.
and design. Is that something that you would pursue in a more official capacity? Is
I
there a
would.
Robyn Marie design
I
Instagram
would,
coming
maybe
out?
not in Edmonton,
Mm,
because I think something like that is it. From at least from the research I've done, it feels like a very competitive field,
mm,
and it seems
sure.
like if I was to try to make a living off of that, it would be basically be the same thing as music. Like it'd be easier to do that and stay busy doing
Hmm.
that in a bigger city.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I the other
I
thing
guess you
is
got to
like I
start somewhere
am.
though, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, you're so right.
it's kind
Yeah.
of what I was saying was it's not your main gig.
I think I just,
It would be one of many things.
do you know what, Mitchell? I think, let's get real. Let's get real here.
Okay,
I
finally.
think, yeah, finally. I think I just need steadiness. I think I
Mm,
like having a day job where
sure.
I know where my paycheck's coming from and I
Yeah.
know
Take the
like
stress out of it.
where I'm
Mhm.
expected to be every day. That to me
Right.
eases a lot of anxiety
Mhm.
that I think I would otherwise feel being a on-demand creator and trying to make a living doing that, or even a designer. Like,
That's a really good point. Or I should say that opens a conversation about what does it mean to make art?
yeah.
You have the side of art which is commercial,
Hmm.
and then you have the side of art which is
Personal.
personal. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like the difference between making your art for yourself and making it for sale, if that
Yeah.
and the commercial side of it, having to pay the bills, does make it a job and makes it soul draining and makes it tough to keep
Sure.
going back to that keyboard to sit and go, okay, I gotta write another jingle or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
But do you find that completely separating the monetary aspect of music brings a little joy back into it when you're
It
not thinking
does.
about it that way? Yeah.
I think so.
Hmm.
I have a few friends who are full-time musicians as a living, and like there is a part of me that does envy the idea of like waking up and then getting to work on your own thing.
Mm. Hmm.
But I don't know. I think like the people who get stressed about like, oh, when am I going to find time to make another song or do this other thing?
Hmm.
Maybe they're feeling that pressure because there is a pressure to be a thing, like and to put that label on yourself, whereas not all of us are like, I it's not that I'm not performing because it just hasn't worked out for me. I choose this.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
do there's a big aspect of this that I choose,
Totally.
and
And
I
I did
do.
I did want to emphasize that when I was,
Yeah.
because I know that it is a choice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like that. Would I like to make more music? Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
But would I trade in having like a steady income and
Hmm.
the kind of work life balance that I have right now?
Yeah.
No. I like it's valuable to me. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny that you say I'd like to make more music, but I've got a job and I'm doing it.
yeah.
I can't remember when it was said, but I know that the CEO of Spotify, I think his name is Daniel Ek, he came out and made that statement that says, well, if artists want to make more money, they need to make more music.
Yeah.
Which it's conveyor belt thinking, right? It's like send more product down the line if you want to sell more.
And that's hard too, because it's like there's no motivation or imperative to do it if you're not going to get paid well to do it.
Well, and
Right?
it's also by definition the devaluing of the individual piece of
It
art.
is.
Like
It absolutely
it's
is.
saying that what you're doing is nuts and bolts. Make more
Yeah.
and sell it bulk. And
Yeah.
that's really cynical, and and especially when you think about the fact that he's literally talking about Spotify royalties, which are like a fraction of a cent per
Oh
play.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, this is not just greedy artists who are going like, I only made 10,000 this month on Spotify, and which would be life changing for pretty much everyone I've ever met.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But he's literally talking about, like, if you
Yeah.
want to make a cent, you need to make 1,000 songs and have them
That's
played once
ridiculous.
each. And
I know, and
it
that's ridiculous.
like it just it's that is just so soul
It's
crushing when you
it
think
feels
about art
backwards.
as
Yeah.
a means of making money.
Yeah.
Which is
But that's
not
why I
how it
think
should
like
be, right? Like,
in the
but it
modern
is practical.
No, you're totally right. And I think in the modern world, like that's why so many people make their living, like if they are active musicians, full-time musicians, they make their living touring and
Hmm.
selling merch
Yeah.
and doing those kind of things. The actual streams a lot of these local artists get doesn't pay their bills,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
it's
Hmm.
for at least for most of us,
Well,
you know?
I recently got a notification from, I can't remember, SoCan. I
So can
recently
yeah,
got
yeah.
it from SoCan, and it was like, we have a deposit waiting for you. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I haven't
You're
really
like
seen it.
sick
And I looked it up, and
payday.
it was like 7 cents because I had like 3 plays on some thing, and it was just like,
I know.
now
I look forward to my $50 paycheck every year.
I am exactly who Daniel Ek is talking to. Really, make
Me
more
too.
music, because I
Me
don't
too.
make a lot of music. However,
Same. Yeah.
I got a notification, very formalized message from SoCan that deposit awaits. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh shit, maybe I'll buy a coffee or no, I think I spent more money on the electricity opening the website
Mhm.
than what I made.
When I would do like my taxes and like calculate my expenses versus what I made, it
Oh
was like
jeez.
really embarrassing
Mhm.
because it's just like, oh yeah, I spent this and this on this plugin or this synthesizer or this
Yeah.
website domain renewal.
Yeah.
And it's just like for what, right?
Mhm.
But most of the money I made as a musician has been from playing with my cover band.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
like that's really the where the money is
Totally.
like these corporate parties, these
Mhm.
weddings. Like if I was to be a full-time wedding performer, that would be a totally different story, I suppose. But again, I like knowing where my paycheck's coming from. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, even playing in a cover band versus playing your own material.
Sure.
Um it is, I mean, it's only natural that most people will want to hear a song that they love
Yeah.
opposed to a song they've never heard before.
Yeah.
It's not cynical, it's not from a not supporting your local art. I think it's just natural because it's not a challenge. I think when we listen to
Right.
new music, we're engaged. A different part of our brain is engaged, and it
Sure.
can take a little time to get used to something new.
I
But it
do wish
is,
there was more of an outlet
yeah,
for that though, because
yes,
I do think that like local artists are creating something a little more like
valuable.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, in a way, like it's really real. It's this straight from these people, as
Hmm.
opposed, there's not a team of 10 producers that are working on this thing. I do wish there was, I did perform with like Yeg Music and like these different like organization that did like live performance stuff for local artists, and
Hmm.
it's just the cut after wasn't great,
Yeah.
and so I stopped performing with them because it was just like my own stuff because it
Yeah.
was just not worth it.
Totally.
And
Hmm.
but if it was more worth it, if you got a bigger cut, or if you like, I don't know, I just feel like I do wish there were more collectives that
Yeah.
could be like local collectives.
Yeah. I mean, it's like fast food, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
home cooked meal for the most part is going to be healthier, is going to be as compared to, say, a Big Mac meal or something like that.
Sure.
Um, but it's not as fast. It doesn't have as much
Sodium.
sodium and fat and whatever, right? And
Yeah.
it's the fast food culture is immediate, and it kind of applies to almost everything, right? Like being more people are willing to or excited to watch the superhero movie opposed to the small Irish
Indie.
drama or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And the big screen is meant for explosions and car chases.
Do you know what, though? I think that is
It's like,
like a reason why I spend so much time thinking about production, studying it. Like when I'm listening to a song on repeat, which is what I do. I find a song that I get addicted to and I listen to it on repeat for months and then I move on to another song.
yeah,
And I just listen to it and I'm listening to the way that they've made this thing. And I do like the challenge of making something small on my own that is impressive to people. Like I want what I do to still be impressive to people.
right.
And I want them to hear it and go, whoa, like that's a cool effect, or that's a
Yeah.
cool, like, I liked how you mixed those things, or I like the way those melodies went together in this one part, like whatever it is, whether it's arranging, mixing, or whether it's producing something like specific. I do like the idea that we can still chase,
Chase a goal.
that
Yeah.
chase that a big goal,
Yeah.
with our stuff.
Yeah.
Even though I may not be like a giant, artist,
Well, yeah, I mean that's also a quality thing too, right? I mean that's
Yeah.
you want your song to sound as polished and as professional as the new Taylor Swift song or whatever,
Exactly.
right? I mean,
Yep.
because the production that's a skill and almost more of it's almost like a science, right?
And it's pretty organic because when there hasn't been a time where I've released a song and been like, this doesn't sound very good, but I'm a local artist, so who
Yeah,
cares? I'll
totally.
release it. That's never happened, but it doesn't change the fact that when I look at my first 2 albums,
Yeah.
the production was, especially the first one, was pretty bad. Like
Sure.
I don't, or at
Right.
least in my,
As a
I'm
comparative-
very critical
Sure.
of the older
Yeah.
stuff that I made. And so I can hear myself organically improving,
Right.
but I'm never releasing something going, this is whatever, but who cares?
Yeah.
I want to get to a place where I'm fully happy about it.
Well, I mean, and that's part of the artistic journey too, right? I mean, and I always love hearing bands evolve, whether it
Yep.
be stylistically or even just seeing the quality get better in them as musicians or songwriters throughout a career, right?
Yeah.
And you have released 2 EPs and then a number of
Yep.
singles.
Yep.
And you can look back and see that you can see the journey. I think of production wise, I think you're right. I think you have grown a lot. Now,
Yeah.
that's not to say that it's not good because I still enjoy that first EP a lot.
I don't
right?
know. There's a couple songs that I
Yeah,
do
and I do
cringe.
want to talk to you about some of these songs.
Sure. Yeah.
And so the first song I wanted to talk to you about was from your first EP or your debut
Yeah.
EP, Hide,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the song "Godless."
Just watch me work it out. But how will I feel it when all my fears remind me I'm godless in my ways, afraid I'm awfully lazy. I'm godless in my ways. Well, I'm heartless and unafraid.
I love that song.
I do too.
I think it really showcases your vocal range.
Thank you.
But beyond that, I think it's a song that's clearly about a transition from a
Yeah.
life of religion
Yeah.
away from it, stepping away from the church, stepping away from
Yeah.
faith.
And the funny thing is, when I wrote that song, I was still in the church. I hadn't
Sure.
actually stepped away from it yet.
And I
A
did
lot
want to
of
ask
that-
you about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of that album, including that song, was a time of my life where I was really just like battling with a lot of doubt
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of thoughts of none of this is really making sense to me, and like
Mhm.
desperately trying to find a way to fit that in my life
Yeah.
and have it make sense.
Mhm.
And just that, coming up against that like barrier of like, this isn't aligning with what I believe or what I see in the world. So,
Right.
there was a constant like battle there with
Mhm.
doubt, with depression,
With the church
and
itself, I would assume.
and with the and I would say
Mhm.
actually like some of those kind of songs about like some of the more anger at the church probably would be more in my second album,
Sure.
Alien, but
Right.
but the first one was more a real struggle within myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I guess maybe not as Robyn Marie, the artist
Yeah.
Robyn Marie, But you would have started your musical life or career writing songs in the church and performing
Sort
them in
of,
the church, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least like writing songs. Yeah, I would agree. Like
Mm-hmm.
I started my life like anyone else, just like playing music in school, and I
Mm-hmm.
had private lessons and all that stuff. But yeah, as far as like being creative, yeah, that was the paradigm I was in, was a evangelical,
Mm-hmm.
culture. And I remember having someone prophesy over me once, saying, "You're going to
Mm.
write songs that brings people to their knees in repentance," and like
Oh, wow.
stuff like that. And that was a lot of pressure. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do that. And like,
Yeah.
and it just never did. That part never did come naturally. Like the part where I wanted to tell people they were going to hell, that part never really
Mm.
came
Mm-hmm.
naturally to me.
Did you find when you did release that EP, that first EP,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it was clearly a transition period?
Yeah.
You hadn't fully stepped away from the
Yeah.
church. Um, did you find people took it
People had
personally?
questions. Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah. There were
I would
people
think that
who,
if you had grown up in the church, or at least
yeah.
musically or
Yeah.
whatever, I would think that a lot of your fans would still believe that, and that's
Yeah.
alienating. No pun
Yeah.
intended, given your second
Yeah.
EP.
Well, and that's just it. Like I think right when I released that first album, I did have people in my church message me privately and kind of ask like, "What's going on?"
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
thanks
Well.
for
Mhm.
listening."
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like,
even the title is godless.
yeah,
That's unambiguous, right? I mean, you're making a
correct.
statement that that it's
Yeah.
that time has come, that
Yeah.
like the door was open and you were stepping
Or at
through it,
least
right?
that I was like confronted with it,
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I wouldn't say I'd accepted it
Sure.
by
Sure.
then.
Yeah. And I mean, I think faith is a funny thing just in
It really
general for
is.
people, because there's belief in God
Yeah.
and then there's the church.
Yeah.
And and that church is full of people, and they all have their own faith and their own rules a lot of the time, and their own belief system of how it should be
Yeah.
interpreted. So I always find that most people I talk to who have stepped away from their faith are more likely stepping away from the church,
Yeah.
just as a general place of feeling persecuted for having
There
doubt
well,
in general. I
there's a
mean,
persecution aspect, but there's also like, I think, because I didn't grow up in the church, it was
right.
something I joined later in life.
Hmm.
I think it just, for me, it was the hypocrisy that really did me in.
Hmm.
And then also a lot of promises made about what kind of experience I was supposed to be having
Hmm.
and what I was supposed to be feeling, or engaging with, that I just never did experience, no matter how hard I chased it. Like, I never did
Hmm.
feel these things. I never felt the presence of God. I never felt these things that people said I should be feeling. And so a lot of that first album is really just me going,
Yeah.
what the fuck, God?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Like, so it was just like a lot of confusion and
Hmm.
sadness. And then I would say like the next album was a little more fun to write,
Hmm.
but because I got to get a lot more like out of myself.
Yeah.
Like, it was a little bit more about being an alien in the church,
Right.
and
Hmm.
being like, and I had a community of people that I had found that were also what we call ex-evangelicals, and like
Right.
were
Yeah.
people who had
Hmm.
who were just deconstructing their faith, and how I saw us as aliens walking in the street.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, so I was able to get that out in the next album a bit more, and a little bit more of my own, like, mental health journey as well was
Hmm.
explored in that second album. But yeah.
Well, the next song I want to talk to you about is Alternate Reality. really love that song because I find that it's really emotionally powerful, but it also
Yeah.
has this strange like whimsicalness to it. I don't know if it's just the chord
Uh-huh.
pattern in the verses,
Yeah.
and they're kind of cute and playful,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the chorus is really heavy, at least in
Yeah.
emotionally heavy. But then you have
Yeah.
these really whimsical verses, which I really
Yeah.
like. And that
Yeah.
song is, I mean, from what I can draw from it, is about that kind of not knowing where you stand in a relationship, or
Yeah.
where they stand.
There's a bit of that.
Hmm.
There's also a bit of like, is the grass greener?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
the song is about spending too much time daydreaming about what things are
Could
supposed
be
to
what
look
could
like or
be.
could
Yeah.
be or yeah.
So my question for you is, have you always been an overthinker?
Yes. In fact, there's a whole song that I wrote on the Alien EP called Like a Hex,
Hmm.
and it's about at the time I was married and
Hmm.
being scared that my husband was going to die and
Oh,
just this fear that he was going to die
like
and just
because
this
of
over
you?
no
Okay.
just just in
Like,
general like I this is what anxiety does. It's not
mm,
rational.
sure.
It's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
it was a weird thing I had. And I was like, I'm gonna write a song about this weird fear I have of him dying.
Interesting.
So I'm an overthinker, absolutely.
Now, was that like a very brief period of time, or are we talking like recurring nightmares?
Recurring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like
Interesting.
it was a thing like I had yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I wonder if we just do that as humans, but like when I was a kid, it used to be like I'd be scared of my mom dying or
Yeah. I mean,
like
I
my
think
grandma dying
I
or
think we are processing a lot of things in our
so whoever is
dreams.
the person that's providing you safety,
Hmm.
I think like I generally like have anxiety about those people.
Right.
And
Yeah. I mean, I think it just shows that you care about them in the end,
yeah,
and that's
probably.
not a bad thing. I think I
Yeah,
think that's the thing about dreams is that it's not like wish fulfillment in so many ways.
right.
It's for the most part, it's going to
Yeah.
be exploring our something that's near and dear to us, and it
Yeah.
usually manifests in the negative way. It's like the dream. Oh, I'm going for my job interview, and I really want to get the job. Oh, I'm naked, or and it's like you're
Exactly.
processing like it's a way of protecting yourself should in the event that happens. I think it's
Yeah.
you're trying to process how you would go about. Do you run? Do you jump for the window? Do you do you roll into the bathroom stall or something like that?
Yeah. And you
Um,
hit the nail on the head with alternate reality because that is literally what like that kind of overthinking is like that's it is kind of about that, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Is yeah, just
mm-hmm.
spending too much time thinking, overthinking and wondering what things could be like,
Yeah.
right?
Do you find that
So,
when look because that's a few years ago, and
yeah.
do you find that like looking back on some of the themes and topics, do you feel like you're in a different place now, and that's like a moment in time, or do you?
Oh god, I hope so.
I would have to think that would
Yeah.
be the case, right?
Yeah.
Like these
No,
are
I
deeply personal songs that you're writing.
every
That
song I've
can
released has been deeply personal to
sure,
me, with the
sure. I
exception
mean,
of
of
maybe
course,
like
yeah, of course,
well, so right after that song, I released a song called Resuscitate, and that was my attempt at writing a song that wasn't super personal to me. That
right.
was my attempt at writing a song that was just fun and surfacey and trying to be like an upbeat. It was actually like totally inspired by Circus by Britney Spears. Like I was listening to
Right.
that song on
Oh.
repeat and like studying all these like the
Mm-hmm.
way they did like the synth lines and the breakdowns and different things. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I wonder if I could like create something like that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
so that was like, it ended up still being kind of dark. So,
Yeah,
cause I'm
sure.
naturally
Yeah.
A sad girl. So,
Right. Yeah. Well,
no, but even if I'm giggling, it's like,
sure. And
you
I
know,
think that we both share that we seek refuge in music.
sure.
Like usually it's the place that we go when we're not feeling so good. At least even
Correct.
writing, maybe not
Yeah.
listening, but writing the music. It's like like a way of bleeding the wound kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, like
It's really hard to write a song that is just about being happy. I
yeah.
don't know why I have a hard time with
Mhm.
it. I don't know if it's because I just grew up as an emo kid or if
Mm.
it's because I'm genuinely just depressed all the time.
Yeah.
That could be it. But
I
honestly, like, yeah, I don't know.
I have a theory that it's about when you started writing music.
Probably. It could be.
That
And also where I was at when I started writing that specific song,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Like
But
I think, well, I mean that's true too. I think, but it's like if you started writing music in a bad place,
Mhm.
and the therapeutic value of what writing music can do for a person or can be for a person, I
Yeah,
think that it's difficult to get away from that, because I find that, like, if
it
I'm
is.
feeling really happy, I'm
Yeah.
outside. I'm
Yeah.
walking the
I'm
dog, I'm whistling, the
I'm going
birds
on
are
bike
chirping.
rides, I'm getting jacked at the gym,
Yeah,
bro.
it's
Yeah.
but if, like, if I'm not feeling that way, the guitar's in my lap and I'm playing, and I'm playing the blues.
It's also I think a really weird part of it is, like, when you write a song out of anger, like, I've written a
Mm,
couple songs, like, just being in a real place of anger, and then by the time I release it, I'm not even in that place anymore.
mhm.
But so it's, like, a little hard to be excited about about the song,
Sure.
but it was
Yeah.
still cathartic writing it, and it still, did its job for me, but
Mhm.
it's weird to
Is it
listen back
is
to
it
some of my
difficult for you to
songs.
listen back to songs that are
It
so
is.
deeply rooted in that high emotion?
It depends. So, like, like, my last song that I released, my solo song, Butterflies, I think when I listened back on that one, I listened back quite fondly
Mm,
because I love that I was able to vent about this
right.
experience I
Mhm.
had and get it off my chest in that way.
Yeah.
Even though I imagine there may be a time in the future where I look back and I go, "Wow, I was really angry,"
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Um,
Well, that
so
song in particular has to be pretty cathartic, because it's
oh, yeah.
effectively, the statement is, we're done, I'm over you, and you've got to figure your shit out.
Yeah. "You did me dirty," is what it's really about.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the thing is that the song isn't sad.
nope.
Like you said, it's an angry song,
Yeah.
and I think you could probably look back and be happy you're not angry or as angry
Correct.
now.
Correct. Yes.
But it's kind of an empowering song, because it's making a pretty powerful statement, not about the singer, but about the subject, right? So
About the subject and about
yeah.
the relationship, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that I felt the most empowered doing that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that as an outlet definitely did help me move on from the anger a little bit because now I can say, "Oh, like, there's proof that I got it out of my system. It's
Right.
right there."
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm. It's
like,
like a
if ever I
badge
need
of
to
honor.
wonder if I've processed some anger, I can go,
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, look at all this stuff I've processed."
Yeah.
It's right there.
Well, Butterflies also has a collaboration,
Yeah.
and that's with our mutual friend Core 36.
I'm leaving with all your texts. I phone it in, don't leave a message. Yes, especially when I'm best, try to impress her. Why you stressing? I guess it's getting messy. Try to love me, but it's hard. I guess I could have mentioned, but I did say from the start. So let that be a lesson. Just a boy who working hard. I guess I've been the villain, been audition for the part. If you listen for a minute to the voice inside your head that say, this a game you shouldn't be playing. Just a child chasing butterflies in the sunless sky. Just a guy who doesn't know what he wants and he doesn't know why. Tell her that she's loved till another one comes along. Just a child chasing butterflies in the sunless sky.
Yeah,
And so,
Corey.
how was that process for you when it came to collaborating? Now, I didn't talk to him about your collaboration specifically when I did have him on the podcast.
What?
I don't know if you had released it yet. Maybe you had. I don't know. But sorry
How
if you
dare
had.
you?
But I would be curious about how you feel being a self-proclaimed perfectionist control freak. How
Yeah.
does a collaboration work for you in
Do you know
that
what? It's
way?
good for me. It's really good for me. And Corey would say this. He was quite nervous about it because, all it was, we worked together and he overheard me playing the song out and he was like, "Oh, I want to like do something with that." So like I was like, "Please do." And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like so
Mm-hmm.
I like, eventually got it to a place where I could send it to him and tell him kind of what it was about and what I wanted him to kind of explore in it. And he would come up to me and be like, "I'm honestly like really nervous about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such a good song that
Mm-hmm.
I am like, I'm worried about like ruining it or
Oh,
something." And he
that's
felt
a
some
huge
anxiety
compliment.
about it. It
Mm-hmm.
is. I was like, Corey, that's so sweet. But
Mm-hmm.
I really think that he is such a natural
Oh
at
yeah,
what he does
absolutely.
that when I got it back from him,
Hmm.
there was not one thing I wanted to change.
Wow,
If
wow,
anything, it inspired me to add a few more things to my song, or take some
sure.
things away. Like it actually helped me make the song better. And
Mm.
so I really, really loved that experience.
Uh,
Being able to just say,
yeah.
hopefully this is good. And luckily it was.
Well, I think the
So
best aspect of collaboration is the competition side of it. Maybe not in the sense of animosity or things like that. I just mean in
no.
the sense of like they in a way force you to up your game, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really interesting that that song in particular, how that collaboration came to be. Because so you're saying that that song was never intended to be a collaboration when you started
No, I
writing it. It
didn't
just
know. What I was going to do was create a bridge in that song, either write a
hmm
bridge or I was going to have my own instrumental in that spot.
hmm
And when he was talking about like, oh, I could picture like this thing over it, like it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I wonder if I should do like a rap collaboration on
yeah
this. And like,
hmm
and I started thinking about it and then like listening to songs, I was like, this kind of has some hip hop, like R&B vibes to it here and there.
hmm
Like it's just like hints of it. And so it actually worked out really well.
yeah.
And I'm really happy with, yeah, that
hmm
collaboration was awesome. That was super fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think that's always going to be like nerve wracking when you have this thing you've worked really hard on and you like
Yeah.
hand it over to someone. Here's my baby. Don't murder it. You know.
Well, and that's why
Um,
I like it when people give me their songs
and that
and
was going to be my
have,
next question because
yeah,
your most recent release was
yeah,
with
Arcane Euphoria.
and that's Aurora Borealis.
If it's any consolation, the names are written in the constellations. I don't sleep at night, dreaming to waste the time when it's just you and I dancing in the fire, inferno in the sky. I don't sleep at night, dreaming to waste the time. I'll take a
Yeah, and so how
Yeah.
was that experience? Because that's the flip side, right? He came to you,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. Now, did he
Well, that's
have
the
the?
second or third time that I've worked with him.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, he's reached out to me in the past to do vocals for him for different dance or drum and bass songs that he had, either writing a hook or whatever.
So
And then,
you do actually take a part in the writing.
yeah,
Oh,
so like
that's cool.
he would send me what he has, and he'd ask me to come up with some kind of vocal hook. But then what I end up doing is sending him back, the vocal hook, but I produce it, I edit it, I give him harmonies, I give him ambient stuff.
Wow.
I just give him a lot more than what he
Mhm.
asked for, and so
Right, but that's your
he had a,
process too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, because I want to if someone's gonna give me something, I'd be like, I want to give this back so much better than the way I got it. In
Mhm.
terms of like, I hope they're happy with, like, I hope I added value to this.
Mhm.
And so both times he was
Well, he
like,
came back for more, so it must have been
well,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that he was just like so pleased with like the first one that he came back for a second one, and
Mhm.
it was really fun to do. And yeah, I was like, I didn't know what it was gonna turn into,
Mhm.
but he, like, yeah, he did his thing with it, and I really had fun doing it. So
Sure. You think you'll seek more collaborations in the future as a result of
I
some
would
of
love
these?
to.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
anybody wants vocals in their song, just hit me up
Mhm.
because I love doing it.
Sure. We're coming to the end of the podcast here now. So usually what I like to ask is, what is on the horizon for you right now? I mean, I know that you have mentioned that there's some music, maybe some songs in the can or
Yeah,
to be.
to be.
Is there imminent release coming up?
Yeah, I'm almost done working on another one that just putting some finishing touches on.
Mhm.
And so I'll be releasing that hopefully soon,
Sure.
this year.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would love to do more collaboration stuff. I might have to do more reaching out about that
Outreach.
maybe.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I
well,
really did enjoy it.
I think that's also a really good way to gain new fans,
Yes.
is through other artists and
Yeah.
join together that way. And I think it may be a really good way to like you said, challenge yourself too, right? Because it gives you a different perspective anytime you're working with some other artist who's got a different vision than you. I know that it's something that really opens your eyes sometimes when you're used to doing it all yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a really good way of challenging yourself and growing.
So where can people find you if they're looking?
On Instagram as Robyn Marie Music. And I'm on Spotify, Robyn Marie.
No website.
Follow me there. I had a website and then it started to get too expensive.
Sure. I mean, I think,
and also nobody was visiting it.
Yeah, I think for the most part now, Facebook, Instagram.
If I was touring more, or like, I think what I might do is like because there was a period of time where I wanted to get more into doing like plugins or like vocals for people, and like so I wanted to have a site where I could advertise the different projects I'd worked on. But nobody was actually visiting it, so I was like, well, I don't really want to like pay for this website when everything that's on here is also on my Instagram.
I think most people just assume it's the Instagram or the Twitter or whatever. Do you have a TikTok? I can't remember if you do or not.
I do. Yeah. Same thing. Robyn Marie Music.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't do the dancing and stuff. I don't know how.
Right.
I'm really bad dancer.
You know, as well, this your cover band Stiletto and are they still active? I can't remember last time.
Oh, we were actually on hiatus. Things have been rough since COVID. We got hit pretty hard with COVID. Our guitar player quit, and so that changed some things. We found another guitar player. We did a gig there, and then we lost that guitar player. So the goal is to get back into it very soon, and start rehearsing again and getting back into the.
Do you have a new guitar player now?
We do. Yeah, we have someone that's very interested. So we just haven't actually gotten together to just start getting it ready.
But if someone was looking to hire you, where would they find you?
Stiletto Band on Instagram. So just reach out there.
All one word.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if we still have a website.
Right. Yeah. Well, probably not. Right.
Band.com? No. It's gone. Websites are silly.
Right. And maybe there's potentially a Robyn Marie design coming up soon.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Or a Twitch. Robyn Marie live Twitch streaming.
I thought it would be fun to do a Twitch of like just like me sharing my screen on what I'm creating and like the different editing stuff that I do. Yeah. But because I'm such a perfectionist on certain things, I think a lot of it would be very boring for people.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to let go of that final product.
Yeah, there'd be like a lot of like, imagine I had like 10 people watching that. That's 10 more people than I had before expecting me to be done something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think the beauty of that is if you're going to do it anyway, throw the camera on, stream it live, talk your way through it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be very interested because you have the chops when it comes to production and mixing. And I think a lot of people would be open to to kind of seeing your process as you build a song out.
I mean, a lot of it would be seeing me Google things and YouTube things and then go and try to create it myself.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, is that not correct if it gets
to the right?
Process, yeah, it's all part of the process. Like, I think pretending
like, how do I create a white noise
worse.
sweep? I have to go and Google how to create white noise sweep.
Yeah,
like a filter sweep. Like so then I can make things.
People
on my
can
own,
learn
right?
with you, and I think that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, well, that's really exciting. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I've been really looking forward to it. I know we talked about you coming on a lot sooner, but it finally got it done.
I was nervous.
Well, you did great.
I was nervous for this.
You did great.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
This is my first podcast ever.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate it here. We appreciate it.
I'm glad.
And so thanks for everyone who's listened. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, that always helps. Beyond that, this has been the Pillars of Creation. So go out, create something new, and we'll see you next time.